Hey, what is going on, guys? So if you've seen recently, I got a big box of some sample products and tools and things from Hobby Mio, and that was including these super metallic color markers. These are in chrome and gold. So in this video, I wanted to basically just demo these for you guys, see how they work. We'll also compare them to the Gundam marker versions of these. I have this Gundam marker set, which is the Gundam metallic marker set, which includes silver and gold. It's not exactly chrome, so it won't be exactly the same, but we'll just see how they compare anyway. And then after we try them out a little bit, we'll see if we can make a chrome-plated Gundam here using the entry grade. But let's just go ahead and get to testing them first. So first of all, these are just going to be your standard felt type tip paint markers, so you're going to want to shake them really well. First, in order to get the paint flowing, you need to just press it. So I like to just use just tissue or something like this. It's a kitchen towel. Just press it and hold it, press it and hold it a few times. You'll see that paint starting to come out, and just make sure you're getting a good flow out of that first. And then we can try it on some pieces here. So I've seen in a demo video, they let out quite a bit of paint on the part first, and I'm not sure if I want to do like that, because if you have too much paint, then basically what you're doing with the marker tip is just trying to move around the paint. But the paint did seem to settle pretty smoothly, so that's the thing. When you have a lot of paint, or just the problem with painting with these markers directly on the part is just that you'll see basically sort of like these strokes, what would be like brush strokes, but like marker strokes anyway. It's uneven. And as you can tell there, it did level out pretty well, but you can still see there's like some little bumps and stuff in there, so it's not perfectly smooth. Let's just try this some more on a white piece here and see if we can get it to be any smoother. And then we'll also try it with a brush as well too. So I've talked about in videos before that if you're going to use Gundam markers, in this case not a Gundam marker, but you know what I mean, if you're going to use paint markers, to apply the paint with a brush, not with the marker directly onto the part, because then you just run into issues like that. So as you can see, it's basically the same. I mean, it looks almost smooth, but you still have those little bumps and stuff in there. Let's try a different option now. I'm going to let out some into my little paint cup here. Ignore the other little bits of paint left over from other things in there. Just going to try applying this now with a brush and see if that does any better, maybe to avoid those little bumps and stuff we're noticing. As you can see, it's maybe sort of a little bit better. It has a little bit more uneven finish overall, but it does seem to have a little bit less of those little bumps and stuff going on there. Now let's try it with the Gundam marker. Now again, this is I think just silver rather than chrome, but you guys get the idea. We'll just see how this looks in comparison. I can tell right off the bat it doesn't seem to be quite as bright because it's not chrome obviously, but it does seem to be going on a little bit more smooth. Again, as far as painting with markers goes, not really recommended, but there you can see the comparison. That one is definitely much more bright chrome finish, but neither one is necessarily giving you a very good finish. But again, these paint markers I would definitely just not really recommend at all for painting entire surfaces anyway. What these would really be most useful for is just painting in small little surfaces. So say you wanted to paint this tiny little detail up inside there with just a little bit of chrome. Now I'm just doing it very simply. But you can see, like, just for painting in tiny little chrome details, I think this one will actually be really nice for that, for if you wanted to just make some like little chrome pistons or something. We're not painting a huge open surface. I just don't think that this is going to be very feasible for that. I'm not sure really what's going on with mine, and I'll try to figure out why, if there's any reason why mine's looking so uneven like that. But at least as far as applying this for small little tiny bits there in details, I think it's going to be really nice for that. Anyway, next up, let's just test out the gold here as well. So just going to lay some out with the marker here. Also, these take, I've noticed, a little while to dry, the paint, so definitely make sure you leave these out for, I would give it at least a few hours of drying time, because especially if you're painting with the marker directly, you're laying the paint on there pretty thick. So there's that. We'll just leave that for the moment. And for testing out the Gundam marker here, the gold version of that, let's just put it right next to there so we can see these right next to each other and just to see how they compare, because they're both, it should be like the same color essentially. You just need to see how like the paint actually works on there. We'll have to see how that turns out a little bit more as these start to dry, but they both look pretty good. I think because of the sparkle there, I can see, if you catch it right in the light, you can see a little bit of that like kind of those little dusty little bumps and stuff there on the Hobby Mio one as well too. I'm not seeing that with the Bandai one, so I don't think it's a matter of like the paint's reaction with the plastic, just something with the paint markers from Hobby Mio. So maybe I need to shake it more. Let me go ahead and do that and let's try it. After shaking it a bunch, it painted a little bit more here, like on the top of there. You can see it's maybe slightly better, but still getting some of that texture in there, unfortunately. Also, the bottom part here, just for comparison, but yeah, it's still not looking very perfect. That's unfortunate. That said, the gold is looking much better. For whatever reason, I'm not really seeing too much of that here with the gold. Again, I think probably better suited using these for just painting small details anyway, but in case you're wanting to use these for painting like full-on parts, you are going to be having some of that texture, it looks like, which, yeah, I just don't know what's causing that or how to fix that, unfortunately. Last thing, though, I do want to try out here is just also painting some by brush and seeing how this compares. Now, the good thing about painting by brush, too, is that you can get into smaller details that are just kind of hard to reach with a marker. So if you're trying to paint like around small little detail areas and things like that, if you're not getting it with the marker, grab a brush and then it will work like that. You don't need to use any sort of special kind of brush or anything. And in a way, I kind of like the way that the gold looks when you apply it kind of sparingly. So not applying like a really thick coat of that, but applying it so that it looks slightly uneven. It gives it, I don't know, a little bit kind of a more interesting look to it. Something like that. I mean, obviously it's uneven, but it's just for the style of the look of that rather than trying to make it look like pure straight up gold. It's got, I don't know, a little bit of a texture to it. I kind of like it. I don't know. What do you guys think? Anyway, considering we're having much better luck with the gold rather than the chrome, I think we're going to just go ahead and paint this little guy up in mostly gold, and then we'll maybe just do a couple little parts in chrome so that we don't need to worry too much about that texturing that we're seeing. Let's do it. And after basically a couple hours work, here is what you get, a fully painted gold-plated Gundam. And I mean, I kind of embraced the unevenness of the paint, and the process that I honestly found kind of worked best for this was I would apply some paint straight onto the parts with the marker, and then I would use a brush to kind of brush it around and even it out a little bit. So it's basically the same thing. It just kind of saves you the trouble a little bit from going back and forth with your paint tray, letting the paint out into the paint tray or whatever, and then painting that onto the kit. You just plop the paint right onto the kit into like an open area, and then use your brush to brush it out over the whole thing. And I did have to do like 1.5 coats. I did a full coat over everything, and I did a kind of like half like touch-up coat, and then over the top of that as well, just to kind of hit some areas where the opacity was not quite right, where the paint was not quite thick enough to give the full gold. Yeah, like I said, I really just had to kind of embrace the unevenness of the paint, just the fact that it's painted in marker, not try to go make it like super smooth, because there's just no way to get it as smooth as possible. If you wanted a really nice smooth gold, you're just gonna have to airbrush, or spray can, I guess could work as well too, but honestly airbrush is gonna be the best way to go for that. So I just gotta lean into it a little bit and just allow it to be what it is. It's just an entire Gundam painted with Gundam marker. It's not gonna look as smooth as if you painted with an airbrush, so you just kind of have to make it look, and I think it does end up looking kind of like metal, sort of in a way, just because of the unevenness of the paint. So it's kind of cool. It makes it look sort of like a little metal gold statue, kind of, in a way. So I like that. Anyway, guys, ultimately I would still not recommend you paint entire parts using markers. These paint markers from Hobby Mio or Gundam markers or anything else. Paint markers are not really intended for painting entire sections like that, but I would really recommend these markers for just painting small details. That can work really nice, especially just if you just need something really quick and easy. They're simple enough. You just grab your marker, let a little bit out onto, honestly, your table or whatever, on anywhere. Just let a little bit of paint out, grab a brush, just quick apply that in to paint in some details, and it works really great. The paint is really bright, especially that chrome is really nice bright chrome. It's just over any larger section you're going to notice imperfections in the paint, but as long as it's on like small little sections, it looks really nice. So definitely it's worth checking out. I did talk briefly with a representative of Hobby Mio about that, and he said that they are working on creating a new version of the chrome paint pen. So if you guys are interested in that, you can check it out now, or possibly wait for the next iteration of that to come out, that they're working on improving the paint quality of that. So it is an issue that they are aware of, and they're working on making this better. But I think, like I said, so far they work well for certain purposes. It just depends on what we want to do with it. So thank you guys so much for checking out the video today. If you are interested in picking up some Hobby Mio products, I know a lot of you guys asked this on the last video that I did, and yes, in fact, we are planning on getting the Hobby Mio line of products at USA Gundam store. We don't have them yet. That's still in the works. So just for now, guys, hang tight. And if you're interested in buying from us at USA Gundam store, who obviously makes the work that I do in my channel and everything possible, we're working on getting these products more easily accessible for you guys in the US. So look forward to that in the near future. But for now, thank you guys so much for your support, checking out the video, liking the video, subscribing, leaving comments, all that. Really appreciate y'all watching. And until next time, hope y'all having a good one. I'll see y'all later. Bye, guys.